Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into AI
Ah, yeah.
and UK general practice,
Yeah.
which is super interesting, but also kind of
It's a bit of a,
like unnerving.
yeah, it is a little bit unnerving.
Like it's really cool,
Oh, absolutely.
but also like, whoa.
Especially in healthcare, right? I think
Yeah.
that's where, um, you know, patient safety and
Right.
well-being
Thank you.
has
Yeah.
to be the priority. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got to be like when a doctor's, considering a new medication,
Right.
they're always weighing up the benefits and risks.
Right. Exactly. And so it seems like that's what this article is all about.
It is.
Is like, what are those potential risks and how do we navigate that?
Yeah, and it sort of breaks it down into three different categories,
Okay.
medical, emotional, and then privacy and dignity.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's break that down.
Yeah.
One of the first things that the article talks about is um, AI for medical dictation.
Mm.
So that's like you go to the GP, you're talking to the GP, and there's a device recording the conversation
Right.
and transcribing it and then even coding it for the doctor's records.
Yeah.
And so like on the surface, that seems
Useful.
helpful, right? Like
Good.
it's saving the doctor time.
Yeah.
Adding
It's
right.
like more efficient in theory.
Ah,
But then
okay.
there's the flip side of that, which
Uh.
is, what if the AI system makes an error
Right.
in the transcription? What if it misinterprets something the patient has said
Yeah.
or misses a crucial detail? And then that could lead to
A misdiagnosis.
a misdiagnosis, yeah, or,
Yeah.
missing something really important that could have been picked up.
And so that's what we're talking about when we say medical harm.
Yeah.
Like it's not just about the technology not being good, it's about the inaccuracies having real-world consequences.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's important to remember that, even with a really accurate AI system,
Right.
there's still going to
Be
be.
some error rate.
Yeah. And the article mentions that even a 2% error rate can have a significant impact.
Wow. So 2%.
2% doesn't sound like a lot, but
But when you're talking about people's health,
yeah, it's huge.
it's huge. Yeah.
So that's medical harm. What about emotional harm?
Yeah. So emotional harm is kind of how would you feel as a patient?
Or
Knowing that your conversation with the doctor is being
recorded.
recorded and listened to by a machine.
Right. And like, especially if you're talking about something,
Sensitive.
or private.
Private.
Or
Yeah.
how does that affect?
How does that make you feel as a patient?
Right. Would you even feel comfortable
Exactly. And that could lead to a reluctance to
to fully disclose?
to share everything with your doctor,
Yeah.
which then has a knock-on effect on potentially the quality of care.
Right. Because the doctor's not getting the full picture.
Exactly.
And then, of course, there's the privacy and dignity thing.
Which, let's be honest, like that's an issue with all technology.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. It's a big issue.
Like where is this data being stored? Who has access to it?
Exactly.
Is it secure?
Yeah. All those things.
And how does
And
that
really important questions to ask.
Yeah, and how does that impact like the patient's trust?
Massively. I
Yeah.
think if a patient feels like their privacy has been violated, then that's going to have a massive impact on trust in the
Yeah.
healthcare system as a whole, really.
So we've talked about the downsides. Are there any potential benefits that the article mentions?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There are loads of potential benefits.
Okay.
If we go back to that medical dictation example,
Okay.
think about how much time a GP could save if they didn't have to spend hours typing up notes and coding everything manually.
Right.
That time could then be used for longer appointments with patients.
Right. So like actually spending more time with the patient,
Exactly. Yeah.
having
Yeah.
more in-depth conversations.
Yeah, potentially even just taking a break and preventing burnout.
Right. Because that's a huge problem.
It is, yeah.
So more efficiency
Yeah.
potentially means better care.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's important to remember that, those benefits only really matter if they genuinely improve the patient experience.
Right.
And they don't come at the expense of all the things we've already talked about.
Yeah.
Safety and privacy and, dignity.
So how does AI even work?
Well,
What is it?
the article talks about different types of software. So you've got like traditional software that follows a set of rules.
Mhm.
Then you've got human intelligence, which is much more flexible.
Right.
And then AI is kind of aiming for that middle ground.
Right.
It's what the article calls adaptive learning, which basically means it's trying to combine consistent execution with the ability to learn and adapt as it encounters new information.
What is it still prone to making errors?
Oh, yeah, Absolutely. It's still prone to errors. And I think the important thing to remember is that
Okay.
we should never just assume that a system is perfect just because it's labeled artificial intelligence.
Right. So even with this adaptive learning thing,
Yeah.
it could still...
Things can still go wrong.
Yeah.
And I think it helps to think about it in terms of the different levels where errors could occur.
Okay.
So if we go back to that medical dictation example again.
Right. Okay. Back to the doctor's office.
Yeah, so the device itself could malfunction.
Right.
Someone could hack into the server where the data is stored.
Oh, gosh.
The AI could misinterpret what it's hearing.
Wow.
There are so many different points where things could potentially go wrong.
It's like a chain, right?
It is. It's a chain.
Like if one link breaks the whole thing.
Exactly. And it highlights the importance of asking the right questions
Right.
when it comes to AI.
Like, what are those right questions?
Well, where's the data going? How is it being secured?
Yeah.
What happens if the system makes a mistake? You
Yeah.
know?
All good questions.
Really important questions to be asking.
And it sounds like picking the right AI supplier is a big part of that.
It is, yeah.
Like you wouldn't pick any doctor.
It
could
needs
you?
a doctor.
No, you wouldn't. You want to do some research.
Yeah, you want to...
So what are some things that we should be looking for when we're evaluating an AI supplier?
I think transparency is a really big one.
Transparency.
You want a supplier who's really open about how their AI system works,
Right.
how they handle data,
Yeah.
what their security protocols are.
And you don't want what the article calls a black box system
No, exactly.
where you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, you only find out when something goes wrong,
Yeah.
which is not ideal.
So transparency. What
Yeah.
else?
Proven track record, I think, is really important as well.
Right.
So have they successfully implemented these AI solutions in other healthcare settings? Ideally within the NHS?
Yeah.
Are there independent reviews or audits that back up their claims?
Okay. So it's almost like...
It's like checking patient testimonials, but for AI. Exactly.
Like, does it actually work?
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
And then I think the final thing is ongoing testing and validation.
Okay.
The world of AI is constantly evolving. So it's not enough to just evaluate a system once and then assume it's good to go forever.
Right. Because what might be cutting edge today?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Outdated tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we need to know that supplier is committed to continuously testing and updating.
So it sounds like implementing AI in a GP practice isn't just like a yes or no decision.
No, it's a
Like,
big decision
Yeah.
with lots to consider.
there's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
The article makes a good comparison with prescribing medication.
Okay.
You wouldn't just hand out a powerful drug
Right.
without carefully weighing up the potential benefits and risks.
Of course not. Yeah.
So it's the same with AI.
Right.
We need to approach it with that same level of caution and consideration.
Really think it through.
Yeah,
Put the patient first.
absolutely.
So it's about striking that balance.
It is. It's about determining if those potential benefits,
Right.
like increased efficiency or more accurate coding,
Yeah.
really justify those risks
Right.
of medical errors or privacy breaches or emotional harm to patients.
It's about using AI to help people, not the other way around.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Let's do a quick recap for our listeners just on the key takeaways from this first part of our deep dive.
Okay. So first and foremost, AI is powerful, but it's not infallible.
Right.
We need to expect that errors will happen and have plans in place to deal with those errors.
Exactly. Number two.
Number two is patient-centeredness.
Yes.
Any AI that's being used in healthcare needs to respect patient privacy, dignity, and emotional safety.
Yeah. Technology should make things better, not worse.
Exactly.
Number three.
Assess suppliers rigorously.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to ask those tough questions
Yeah.
about data storage and security protocols and how they handle errors.
And number four.
Look for real evidence. Yeah, does the AI system actually improve patient outcomes?
Yeah, in a way that justifies the potential harms.
Exactly.
Okay, so this has been a really fascinating conversation so far,
It has.
and we're just getting started.
Yeah, we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to talk about.